and welcome to episode number 13 of the Introvert Biz Growth Podcast, the show where I talk to introverts who grow their business and make a difference. I'm Sarah Senecroce, and I'm thrilled that you're spending this time with me today. Today I'm talking with Ian Anderson Gray. And if this interview sounds like two friends chatting, then that's because that's exactly what it is. I've known Ian for a good while now, and we've been on a mastermind together where we talked over Skype on a weekly basis. So I'm really thrilled to have him on my podcast, as we've discovered that we have quite a few things in common besides being introverts and being highly sensitive people. Ian Anderson Gray is the founder of Seriously Social, a very popular blog focused on social media tools, efficiency, and productivity. And Ian didn't actually write a very popular blog. I added that myself. He just wrote a blog focused on social media tools. He's just like that. He's just very humble. And so I took the liberty to add the very popular part in there. He's a speaker, trainer, teacher, web developer, and consultant. He has a passion for turning the technobabble of social media marketing into plain English. As well as being a geek, husband, and dad to two kids, Ian is also a professional singer and lives near Manchester in the UK. Hi Ian, how are you today?
I'm good, Sarah. Yes, it's the first day the kids have gone back to school, so life is feeling much less stressful and more productive.
More productive, right? That's what we were just saying offline. Yeah, it was the same for me 2 weeks ago. Not that we don't enjoy it, but it's true. You always you have to juggle much more, I think, between, professional life and personal life. So
Definitely.
now you're being super productive. That's great.
Yes. Well, trying to be.
Trying to be, yeah. Ian, besides your official bio that I just read, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? And I did, the bio did say that you're a geek, so that we already know. We already know you're an introvert, but can you maybe just kind of tell the audience a little bit how do you notice that in your business? How does that come over in the business?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny, you saying I'm a geek. Whenever anyone says that to me, I still kind of like think, oh, that is that a put down? It used to be, a really horrible thing to call somebody, but now it's the new, being a geek is a cool thing to be.
It's the new cool thing to be.
It is. So that's good. Yeah. So I've always been interested in technology, right from a child. I had a computer in my bedroom and I kind of programmed on it, and I've also been very much involved with music. I love music. It's part of my life. I trained as a musician and a singer. And nowadays, I still do a little bit of that. I still do music. I still teach singing, which is something I really enjoy doing. But the majority of the time, I'm running my business with my dad, Select Performers. So that's building websites and maintaining them for our clients. And the other thing that I do is consultancy, training, teaching, and blogging. That's with Seriously Social, and that's particularly on social media tools. In terms of when I realized I was an introvert, that's taken a long time to kind of work out, really, because I think a lot of people think that an introvert is somebody who is predominantly shy and wouldn't want to kind of go on stage, maybe get stage fright and things like that. And I actually love going on stage and performing or speaking. So I never thought of myself as an introvert, but the fact that I kind of like to spend a lot of time on my own, I get kind of probably a lot of energy from being at home working by myself. I think over time I kind of started to realize that I am probably an introvert, and the main kind of turning point for me was going to a big conference last year called Social Media Marketing World, which is a big social media conference in San Diego, and I just about everyone I spoke to there would consider themselves an introvert, and we all kind of realized that we just didn't bother with the small talk. We all kind of in at the deep end and started kind of these really kind of big in-depth conversations. And I think that's one of the, I don't know whether it's a stereotype, but it's certainly a trait of a lot of introverts, that we tend to kind of, we will do small talk if we have to, but we'd rather just kind of get to the main points of the conversation and get stuck in, and that's certainly what happened at that conference.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it's kind of a common trait to introverts that we can't be bothered with small talk. Tell us a little bit more about the speaking, because that's really, already said in the intro, you're just so humble that you never, kind of, push what you're really doing, and you're a big speaker. You have a lot of speaking engagements, and that's, you said it might be a stereotype, but I still think that speaking in public is a big struggle for many introverts, not all of them,
Mm, mm.
because I think, well, maybe you can tell us a little bit. How does that not frighten you? Does it have to do with your singing, maybe
Mm.
education, or tell us a little bit more?
Yeah, really interesting question. I mean, I think probably it's helped. I remember at school, I used to play the cello, but I still play the cello, not as much as I used to. And in a way, if you're playing the piano or you're playing an instrument, you're kind of hiding behind the instrument, and that kind of isn't maybe as nerve wracking as standing on stage and singing, because there's nothing between you and the audience, and that's the same with speaking. It's just you and the audience. So I think all the training that I had as a singer, and I still feel nervous today when I'm singing or speaking. I think that's a good thing. But yeah, feel I feel more at ease on stage singing or speaking to hundreds of people, or even more than that. That I would probably feel more comfortable doing that than I would be at a big party with loud music and where I was the center of attention. Uh, I know that will probably sound weird to some people. Maybe it won't to some others, but I feel more comfortable on stage because I'm in control, I suppose,
Yeah.
and also I can't. I mean, I can look out at the audience and I can see individuals, but generally it's just this big mass of people, and that feels more, in a funny way, feels more comforting than if I'm in a big room with, let's say, kind of 40, 50, 60 people, and I'm the center of attention. It's very difficult to explain, but that's certainly how I feel. And it's not to say that I do feel nervous when I go on, and I think that's really important. If you don't have those nerves, then I think it's kind of almost time to give up. And that's certainly my experience as a singer, because I remember two big gigs that I had. I had singing a concert where I was in the Liverpool Philharmonic Hall, and there was a big orchestra and a choir, and I was petrified. I was so nervous, and I went on, and I pretty much nailed it. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but I was really, really pleased. Despite being so nervous, I was able to channel in all that adrenaline into the performance. But the following week, I did another concert, and for some reason, I was not nervous at all. I was a little bit kind of blasé about it, and it was one of the worst performances I ever gave.
Yeah.
So I think we need to kind of learn to channel that kind of nervous energy into whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's a workshop, as you're speaking, or whether it's a musical performance or stage performance.
Yeah, very interesting. Well, I kind of got over it a little bit as well. I still wouldn't speak in front of huge audiences like you do, but kind of like 50 to 100 people I can now do. And I almost realized that, how as business owners we somehow still have to network and still have to present ourselves and create these opportunities. Well, I decided that the regular networking events were just not working for me, because I always ended up at these gatherings, glass in my hand, and I'm like, oh my god, who am I going to talk to? And in the
Mm.
end, most of the time I just left again with
Yeah,
having talked to
yeah,
nobody. And what I realized, if I'm the one who's presenting, so that the people, these networking events invite me as the speaker, yes, I'm nervous. Yes, I'm nervous standing up there, but the people come to me after. And that's just
yeah,
great. I
yeah.
don't have to go to them. They actually come up to me and ask me questions. and it's like it's my in. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
yes, sure, I'd love to help you. So yeah, that's what I noticed works for me, even though before I was like, oh, I'm never going to be speaking in public. But I, you know, realized, okay, in a way, it's easier than doing the networking events where you just walk into a room of
Oh
people
yeah.
like, oh, I have to talk to them. So yeah,
Yeah, it's funny you talking about that. I just had these really remembering these times when I went to networking events and just feeling just so stressed, really, because I was there and there's these people over there, and I kind of feel I should be talking to them because I'm at a networking event, but I didn't want to do it. I was kind of whatever it was. I was feeling shy,
yeah,
and that was one thing I did at Social Media Marketing World, because or whatever conference, I do try and meet people online before I go. So I make a list of all the people that I want to see at the event. I find out a bit more about them. If I can, I will talk to them on Skype beforehand. So I know I get rid of that kind of that feeling nervous before, because we already know each other.
yeah,
And so I think that's definitely, if you can do that. You can't always do that at a networking event, then that's a good thing. And the other thing is kind of more of a psychological thing. Some of these conferences have these networking events, and I try to change the word networking to just in my head to just chatting with people, because I think the word networking just sounds scary to me, and almost
there's pressure. Yeah,
pressure. Yeah,
yeah,
and actually networking is all about, when networking works the best, it's just really when you are yourself and you're just having a bit of a chat. So imagine you're just in a coffee shop or at a pub or whatever, and you're just chatting with some friends. That's the theory, but it makes it maybe a little bit easier.
yeah. No, great tip about preparing those networking events or conferences, because for introverts like us, it feels so much better when we can say that we feel prepared. I think what
Yeah.
scares us is to just get thrown in there and not know what to say. So if you can say, oh, we connected on Skype, or we connected on LinkedIn, and there you go, you can start a conversation.
I think so. I know the other kind of thing that I just remembered is don't beat yourself up if you need to leave early. You'll know yourself, and I think you need to put into, if you're going to a big kind of 2-day conference, you need to kind of put in there some downtimes for yourself. So, I mean, the first year I had a hotel room by myself, which I think was obviously more expensive, but I needed that time just to retreat and just recharge my batteries. The second year I went, I was sharing with somebody, but I think we were my roommate was pretty of an introvert as well, so we knew we needed to give each other some space as well. So do that, and don't beat yourself up, because you just got to understand the way you work, and if you need that downtime and that space, then give yourself that, because you may find that you'll burn yourself out.
Yeah, yeah. We just talked about lots of introvert related strengths and maybe challenges. In your own experience, what do you think your biggest strength is as an introverted entrepreneur?
Well, I think I like spending time on my own, and I like to get really stuck into the detail. So I suppose one of my kind of superpowers or super strengths as an introvert is attention to detail.
Hmm.
And that's also when it comes to even meeting with people. I love spending quality time with people, and I think I'm quite an empathetic person. I like to kind of get under the skin of people and try and understand how they feel. And probably because in the past I've maybe been treated not so well. At school I was moved from England to Scotland, and I was teased for having an English accent. And then I moved down to Scotland after having acquired a Scottish accent, and got teased for having a Scottish accent. So I think because of all of that experience, I do try and kind of get to understand people and see where they're coming from. And I want people to feel comfortable in my company.
Right.
So I think I think all of those probably stem from the fact that I'm an introvert.
Hmm. What about challenges?
Yeah, I get burnt out quite easily, and if I'm in an uncomfortable situation, we spoke about networking events, but it could just be, it could be many different situations I find myself in, when I just know I need to retreat and get some space. And I think the longer I've been around, I suppose I've kind of got to understand when I need that downtime. But it's a bit frustrating sometimes when I compare myself to other colleagues in the industry who can just keep going and keep going. I know I can't, so I just need to slow down sometimes, and that's frustrating.
Mm. Yeah, you need to respect your energy and know when you need time to recharge, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Mm, mm. Great. Let's talk about revenue since this is a business podcast that is supposed to, show how introverts like you grew their business and make a difference. How do you currently generate revenue with the two businesses that you have?
Well, yes. I mean, I've technically got three businesses. So my employed income is on a Saturday. I teach singing, so that just kind of ticks along by itself. I
Right.
just turn up and I teach, and that's fine. And I do that primarily because I enjoy it. But the partnership with my dad, which is building websites. We've been doing this for about 12 years, and the we build websites, and that's great. But most of the income actually comes from the aftercare, and we we love to kind of build the relationships with our clients, and not just build the website and then walk away. We want to continue that relationship. So we offer the fully managed hosting of the website, and we'll keep it up to date for our clients. So that's where the majority of that income comes from, which is good because it means it's that recurring revenue
Right.
stream as opposed to just building a website and then you've got to worry about getting a new client, which can be a bit stressful.
Yeah.
And then the seriously social part of things, and that's taken a long time to grow. And this is probably the attention to detail nature of me. I've built that slowly, and it's only really been the last couple of years that that's started to become, I suppose, a bit what I'd call a business, really. So
Mhm.
that has been me providing workshops, presentations at conferences, training, and just in the past 6 months, well, the past couple of months actually, I've launched my first online course on Facebook Live, and so that's definitely what I want to carry on doing because I love teaching and I'm passionate about that, and that is great because I just built one course. I spent a lot of time doing it, but I can then sell that multiple times. So it's much more scalable than giving a workshop where I'm just paid once on a day, and then I have to do that again the next day to be paid again.
Yeah, it's really kind of giving it out there and then just people can keep buying it and yes, you put in the time once in the beginning, but then hopefully it'll pay back multiple times.
Well,
So that's the idea.
that's the idea. Yes.
Yeah, 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 that's great. Okay, wonderful. Can you take us to a moment, like an incredible aha moment you've had, and kind of tell us the story about that? Could be, yeah, probably business related, maybe just seriously social business, or even the other business. What are you remembering?
Well, I've kind of gone over this already, but I think it was so. This is more of a kind of a life thing, but it then transferred very much into the business. And I was having a bit of an identity crisis. Really, I was thinking, who am I? Am I Ian the musician? Am I Ian the web developer? Am I Ian the blogger? What is it? And somebody recommended that I looked into something called Strength Finders, and
Mm-hmm.
so Strength Finders is basically it's an online, I suppose, like a quiz or a test that looks at your core strengths. And I did it, and it came up with one of my top ones as being kind of problem solving, another one being adaptability, which is all to do with liking to do different things. You're getting a little bit bored if you do the same thing all the time, and also one called harmony, which is trying to bring two kind of opposing points of view together, and wanting to bring consensus. And that had a big impact to me because it gave me that affirmation that what I was doing, particularly with Seriously Social, was the right thing to do. Because it wasn't bringing in any money at all, and I was spending so much time on this. This is a couple of years back, and I was just thinking, what am I doing? I want to be able to support my family, and I want to be able to move forwards with my business. But it was that kind of realization that I was doing the right thing, that moving forwards with that, and being a consultant, having the passion of teaching and training, and also with the adaptability thing, being working from home, being a solopreneur, was the right thing to do. And I think without that, I kind of probably would have given up.
Yeah, that's a great tool, and I've read about it before. And I think for you, really, what you did is you created this great community and big community with Seriously Social. And yes, it's taken you a while, but now it's finally time to, you started your first online course and you're going to build many more, and you already have that community. I think that's an important lesson here, that
Yes.
sometimes we cannot just go out there and say, okay, here's my course on 10 social media tools, but without having a community who's actually going to listen to you and buy from you, where you kind of maybe took a little detour, but it took you some longer. But now you have this amazing community who trusts you, and I think that's a great thing.
Yeah, no, I think you're probably right. I mean, it's interesting to kind of look back on how you've done things in your business, and I I would love to have said that I had a kind of clear strategy from the start, but I'd be totally lying if I said that. But yeah, I think actually the community on Google Plus, bizarrely, I mean, Google Plus is most people aren't really on that platform anymore, but the people that I met in that community were really a big kind of life-changing or business-changing a community, really, for me, because I got to know all these people and we shared ideas and thoughts, and then I met them at conferences. And I think all those relationships that I built through those communities online and then in real life at these conferences has made a massive impact to my business, certainly with the course that I've been selling, and um, getting my name out there. I suppose that's been a big advantage, and a big part of how I've kind of got to where I am today, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, so it has a lot to do with who you know, and not just who you know, but actually building these relationships, because we all know lots of people, but do we actually put in some effort into maintaining these relationships?
Mm.
I think that's what it comes down to. Yeah, and in terms of strategy, I was just laughing because it's the same thing with this podcast. I have right now, I have no clue what I'm going to do with this business, which right now is not really a business. But I just want to continue this because that's what I need right now. And I think it makes me happy to be talking to all these interesting people, and hopefully create relationships with them, with the guests, but also, hopefully give some ideas, give some food for thoughts to the listeners, and
Mm.
tell them, look, we've been there, we've done it. Obviously, we can't just give you the recipe for success. That would be too easy, but maybe we can kind of help you get there a little bit faster. So,
Oh,
yeah,
well, absolutely. And you know what? It's not a crime to enjoy yourself and to have a bit of
exactly.
fun.
Let's have
So,
fun.
if you're gonna do what we do and choose this kind of ridiculous career of working at home, where the money is not always going to be, certainly not the easiest path in terms of revenue. It takes time and a lot of effort. But if you're going to choose this path, then I think you've got to enjoy yourself along the way and meet some amazing people. And I think community is absolutely everything, because although I love working by myself, we need each other, and we're all in this together. And I think collaborating with people, joining mastermind groups, sharing ideas, and is definitely one of the big things that has changed my business over the past year as well.
Exactly. Yeah, I read in the intro that we were on the mastermind together. So the audience already knows that. Excellent. Let's get people give people some resources. So I have this section that I call the 3 golden nuggets. So if you could share one of your personal habits that contributes to your success.
So I think for me, it is that attention to detail. So when I'm reviewing, for example, a social media tool or an efficiency tool, I like to really get under the skin of it and spend a lot of time working out how this is going to help me. Now, that will take me a long time at the start, but once I got my head around it and got a system in place, then it really makes me a lot more productive over time. So I think what I would suggest that people do, certainly with looking at a way to become more efficient on particular parts of your business, work out where are the areas that you could really do with some help with, is kind of tool help with that, and try and kind of research and find the best tool for that, and spend some time with it. And I think you'll save a huge amount of time in the long run if you do that.
Excellent. Yeah. So invest some time up front, but then save time on the long run.
Yes.
Great. What about an internet resource or one of your favorite tools that you can share with our listeners?
And am I only allowed one? That's the
Oh,
problem.
no, you can, let's say
Okay.
3.
Okay. Well, I was worried that you were going to just say one. So if it was just one, I would probably say recommend LastPass or LastPass, depending on your accent. And basically, that is a password manager that I kind of keep forgetting that I am using it all the time, but I am. So it basically allows you to be really secure with your passwords, which I think is really important, because we every week we hear of passwords being stolen. So that's the first thing. And second of all, you never need to remember any passwords apart from your one LastPass password. It fills in all your passwords for you on your desktop, laptop, and also on your smartphone as well. So I'm continually logging in and logging out of, say, the likes of Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and all these many tools, and I never have to remember those passwords. I mean, I've got one of these smartphones with a fingerprint scanner, so I just tap my finger and it fills it in for me. So that's a real time saver for me.
Yeah,
In
that's a
terms of
great
other,
tool. Sorry, just to say,
yeah,
it's true. We almost forget that we, use that on a regular basis until, every now and then I have a client who's a bit older and he's like, oh, there's another password that I have to remember. I'm like, oh my God, you're trying to remember all these passwords? You
yeah,
gotta
yeah.
get, a tool like that. It's insane. How could you even remember all those
Oh.
passwords?
Well, and I think, if you can remember your password, it's far too weak. You shouldn't actually
Yeah.
be able to remember your password. It needs to be ridiculously complicated. Otherwise, you could potentially get hacked. So,
Yes.
and I think LastPass is one of those examples of a tool that spend your time working out how to use it, and then it'll just be second nature because you'll just use it all the time. So, definitely LastPass.
Great.
And other tools, I'll just mention just a couple. So just a tool that most people probably haven't heard of, because it's a relatively new tool, is called Missing Letter. That's missing and then LETTR. So it doesn't have the final E. And that's just a way of connecting your blog to Twitter. It creates a series of tweets throughout the whole year from one blog post. So you can effectively create a marketing campaign for just each of your blogs, so that it'll tweet out over the coming year, and it will extract out things like quotes and images and lots of other things
That's
like
a
that. So
great
it's
tool.
really, really cool.
Is that a paid tool or?
It's free. It's got a pretty good free account, and then their initial paid one is $10 a month. And the only difference really with the paid one is that you can import older blog posts in as well, and there's probably a few other differences as well, but that's the main one.
Excellent. What about a book that you would recommend to our audience and why?
Well, I found the book by Susan. Is it Susan Cain on
Yes.
Critical Quiet? I found that useful. But in terms of a business book, I think the book that made a big impact on me is called "Do It Tomorrow" by Mark Forster, and it's really about being organized in your schedule, really. So it's making sure that you have a schedule for today, and you know exactly what it is that you're doing. And if anything else comes in, you don't put it on the list for today, you put it on tomorrow's list. So it's a little bit more detailed than that. It has a kind of some interesting psychology in there. So my favorite is kind of tricking your brain into doing something. So we all have, I think, the problem with wanting to procrastinate. So if it's tidying your office, for example, there's part of your brain that's just really saying that struggling with that and doesn't want you to tidy your office because it's just far too hard to do that. You'd rather be doing something else. So you're kind of just saying to your brain, look, okay, I'm not going to tidy the office. I'm just going to move that paper from that pile to that pile. And the idea of this is that as soon as you start doing that, you're tricking your brain, your one part of the brain, your animal part of your brain, in that you're not actually tidying the office, but you're just starting to do it, and then you'll probably find that you end up tidying the office. So I find that really quite useful.
That's very tricky. Excellent. Okay, I think we're kind of coming to an end here, and I always like to ask the last question. It's a bit of a more mindful ending. What are you grateful today or this week? And don't say that the kids are back at school, because I start to feel bad for your kids.
Well, yeah, it has been. We had an amazing summer holiday. You know, we had this amazing vacation to North Carolina. It was we just felt so blessed, so grateful for that. And but it's also been difficult from a business point of view. You know, the kids have been so full of energy, and you know, we love them to bits, but it's been a struggle from a business point of view. But you know, although it's hard, working from home is just it's just such it's something I'm so grateful for, having that freedom and flexibility to work from home. I can spend time with my wife. You know, I can pick the kids up from school. I'm not saying it's always amazing, but it's, you know, when I stop and think about how I can have that flexibility and that time with my family, I just it does make me realize how blessed I am. So I definitely think that.
Yeah, I think it's good to always remind yourself every day, if you can, that it's such a privilege, you know, to be able to do that, because, you know, just once a week, sometimes I have to go, you know, drive to another city for a client, and I'm stuck in traffic, and, you know, immediately you feel your stress level go up, and you're just like, you know. And so it's really a blessing to be able to work from home. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time, Ian. This was a great discussion. I think we got a lot of takeaways, and you know, you gave some great tips in terms of time management and some great tools. So thank you so much for your time and sharing today.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, Ian. Take care.
You too.
You can find Ian on his website at iag.com or on Facebook, facebook.com/IAGDOTME, IAG.me. Next time, I'm talking to Andy Mort, another Brit and host of the podcast called Sheep Dressed Like Wolves. Don't miss it. That's it for this episode on the Introvert Biz Growth Podcast. You'll find the show notes at the link sarahsanacroce.com/episode 13. Come on over, and if you don't have it yet, you get your free 4-step guide on how to say no to grow. If you like this episode, please subscribe to this show on iTunes or Stitcher and tell your introverted friends about it. And I'll talk to you again in 2 weeks. I know it seems long, but time flies, and pre-excitement is half the experience. Talk to you soon.